أعوذ بالله السميع العليم من شر الشيطان اللعين الرجيم. بسم الله الرحمن الرحيم. الحمد لله رب العالمين، والصلاة والسلام على سيدنا ونبينا وحبيب قلوبنا وطبيب نفوسنا وشفيع ذنوبنا سيدنا ومولانا أبي القاسم محمد. اللهم صل على محمد وعلى، والصلاة والسلام على أهل بيته الطيبين الطاهرين المعصومين الميامين المنتجبين، واللعنة الدائمة الأبدية على أعدائهم أجمعين إلى قيام يوم الدين. أما بعد، قد ورد في الحديث الشريف إن الحسين مصباح الهدى وسفينة النجاة. صدق، آمنا بالله، صدق رسول الله صلى الله عليه وآله وسلم. اللهم صل على محمد وآله. Yes, Hussein is the lantern of guidance. Hussein is the ark of success. And we mentioned Hussein is lesson salamullah alayh, and Hussein salamullah alayh is grief. These two, they have to go together. We cannot let grief aside and focus only on Imam Hussein and his movement and the path of Imam Hussein. And we cannot leave the path of Imam Hussein alayhi salatu wasalam, the mission of Imam Hussein alayhi salatu wasalam, Amr bil Ma'ruf wa Nahy anil Munkar, reformation, aside, and keep the grief aside. No, they both have to go together. And this is something which we are not just only told to do theoretically, but our Imams alayhi practically, they practice the azadari of Imam Hussein alayhi, from crying, from lamentation, from listening to the poetries of the poets on the tragedy of Karbala, from grieving on the days of Ashura, from commanding the companions, the followers, that are, do you sit for the dhikr of Imam Hussein, majalis of Imam Hussein, our gatherings, our dhikr, our grief, our happiness, our sadness. Our Aimmas alayhimus salatu, they kept part and parcel of expressing the love of Ahlul Bayt based on Ayat al-Mawadda, which we have been commanded to love Ahlul Bayt alayhimus salatu wasalam. Then Masa'ib and the tragedy and the grieving area and are part and parcel of fulfilling the command of Allah subhanahu wa ta'ala. قُلْ لَا أَسْأَلُكُمْ عَلَيْهِ أَجْرًا إِلَّا الْمَوَدَّةَ فِي الْقُرْبَى. I'm not asking you anything in return for the message, for the Jannat, for the path I gave you, except you love Ahl Bayt al-Nabi sallallahu alayhi wa sallam. That is the price we have to pay. So that it means when you get something and there's a price, you have to pay that price. Otherwise, you are a usurper. You have taken Islam free of charge. Allah did not give you Islam free of charge. Allah gave you Islam and He wants something from you, which is قُلْ لَا أَسْأَلُكُمْ عَلَيْهِ أَجْرًا إِلَّا الْمَوَدَّةَ فِي الْقُرْبَى. Love, and not simple love. No, mawadda comes from deep inside your heart. And for that, when you love someone and that someone is in pain, you express your pain with grief. You mention what happened. You try to show every type of expressions which shows or indicates that you are in grief for the grief of your beloved ones. And the Imam Ja'far Sadiq alayhi salatu clearly said in several narrations, our Shias, they are glad in our gladness and sad in our sadness. يَفْرَحُونَ لِفَرَحِنَا وَيَحْزَنُونَ لِحُزْنِنَا. So if we are Shias, then we have to. So that's why we oppose every Maulana, every person from Shia, out of the Shia, non-Muslim, who tries to sabotage and stop and eradicate the Azadari of Imam Hussein by creating doubts and problems. We are against that direction. That extreme, no, we say no. You don't want to do, you do whatever. But for us, We will not stop Aza of Imam Hussein alayhi salatu wasalam. Our Maraja, they emphasize not contemporary Maraja, from Sheikh al-Mufid, from Sheikh al-Saduq, all those early ones. So that is emphasis. Our Imams, they were emphasizing on listening to the poetries, grieving on Imam Hussein, shedding tears. So this Aza of Imam Hussein is not on table for negotiation. Sorry. Okay? This is a part and parcel of Shia Ithna Ashari. Other Shias also they hold, but we cannot give up this idea, this part and parcel of identity. Shia is equal to Ashura, Muharram, black clothing, grieving, doing every type of halal, permissible things to express our love and pain for Imam Hussein alayhi salam. So that's why when we are discussing this topic, we don't want people to eradicate Imam Hussein's Aza. We are trying to give alternative things. We are trying to help our respected Dhakirin and Dhakirat how to strengthen their bayan so that our Azadari remains strong and continues to be to pass to the generations after generation in that kind of strength. We don't want our majalis to become weak with a lot of infiltrated things which doesn't have anything to do with the tragedy of Karbala from the beginning. So we mentioned solutions. Continue our respected Azada, those who recite majalis, our respected Dhakirin and Dhakiran. May Allah bless you abundantly. Your reward is only counted and by Imam Hussein alayhi salatu wasalam, and given to you by only Allah subhanahu wa ta'ala. How much great job you are doing in reciting the majalis of Imam Hussein, especially those volunteer ones who do not charge anything. May Allah reward you and bless you. So that's why we mentioned the what to say and what not to say. We did not say don't say anything. We did not say throw the baby in the bath. No, keep the baby, change the bath. Okay, change whatever needs to be developed, infiltrated, scrutinized, do it. But do not stop what the mission you have taken to serve Imam Hussein alayhi salam by reciting the majalis of grief. Anyone, they have the capacity to recite majalis of Imam Hussein alayhi salatu wasalam, please do that, for you do not know how much great reward you have for reciting the majalis and letting the people shed tears on Imam Hussein alayhi salatu wasalam. So therefore, we come to our point. That was something to remind you that we are supporting and encouraging the forms, every forms of expression of azadar of Imam Hussein, grieving on Imam Hussein, as long as they are permissible according to your marja. Okay, I highlighted according to your marja. If your marja says don't do this, you don't do that. If that other person marja says you can do that, let them do. Let's not bring shaitan in our thing, which is for the pleasure of Allah subhanahu wa ta'ala, pleasure of Imam Hussein alayhi salatu wasalam. So therefore, continue and you get the guidelines how to recite the majalis of Imam Hussein, strange and weird stuff, okay, just to make your majlis fancy, keep it away. You don't need your majlis to be fancy. If you read from heart, it will penetrate into the hearts of the listeners. If you read with sadness, they will feel your sadness and they will feel sad also. So we don't need to put too much, as in Urdu say mirchi masala, or in English spices, or in Arabic baharat, okay, in order to fancy the majalis of Imam Hussein. Screaming, yes, many people they say, why these Maulanas are screaming and there's a competition of screaming? No, they are not screaming because they like to scream or something. No, because the word jaza means, I wish I could scream. I don't have the capacity to scream. Otherwise, in Masa'ib, I would love to scream. I would have screamed, but I can't scream. I have limitations in my capacity of raising my voice. But then when there are screaming, the Maulanas, when they scream, they shake the hearts of the people. They let them cry. This is called in Arabic jaza. Okay, jaza. And there are some narrations recommending and rewarding the one who grieves on Imam Hussein in a jaza manner. So it is not decent to mock someone who is doing jaza and letting the people in the state of jaza. Jaza is severe grief, like a mother if she loses her child. Somebody kills a child. Bless those Palestinians where the mothers they see every day, their children are being killed. What is happening to those mothers? They're screaming. They're screaming as high as possible. It's a natural thing. And that is called jaza. When you have severe pain for Imam Hussein alayhi salam, you will severely scream on Imam Hussein's tragedy and cry and scream. So this is something which we need to mention. So in that line, our discussion was about what to say and what not to say. I have 4 topics left. I hope that I'm able to cover up until Ashura. If not, we'll try to see after Ashura. We said the 3 books I showed you as an example. There might be other books as well. The books you need to choose have references in footnote, because too many books have written and too many spices have been added of the books of many of the Dhakirin and many of the Maulanas, and they're not referenced. You don't want to touch those books. Okay, that's number 1. So you take, or if you want to say from that, try to compare from the books which they have provided you with references. That's one. I gave you examples of 3 books available in Arabic, which has references. One of them has been translated in Urdu, and this one has been translated in English, which we are going to discuss today, which is As-Sahih min Maqtal Sayyid al-Shuhada. I showed you the orange colored page yesterday of Sheikh Muhammad al-Shahri, Muhammad al-Ray Shahri from Iran, Qum al-Muqaddasa. So we want to discuss this book, As-Sahih. We want to discuss Maqtal of Abi Mikhnaf. We want to discuss Ziyarat al-Nahiya, the authenticity of Ziyarat al-Nahiya. These 3 topics, if I'm able to cover in the upcoming nights, then Alhamdulillah, my target will be fulfilled. And let's see, we ask Allah the tawfiq. And I'm not going to go into too many details, and I'm not going to discuss all the maqatil, because since Abi Mikhnaf maqtal is so crucial, so important, that it is the foundation of most of the maqatil we have nowadays. So it is very important for us to understand the angles of maqtal Abi Mikhnaf. And the most difficult part is that maqtal is not in our hands in this century. It disappeared. So how did we know that there was even a maqtal? That's an academic question. We are going to discuss that. How did we, why are we keep saying Maqtal ibn Makhnaf, Maqtal ibn Abi Makhnaf? So why are we keep repeating if the book is not available in our hand and it got lost in time? So therefore, that is going to be one of our topic of discussion, and it's very important topic, not just for our respected and beloved Dhakirin and Dhakirat, but all those who are interested in knowing, when they listen from the mimbar, they would like to know what they heard today, how much it has the originality, and how much there is an addition, or as they in Arabic they say baharat or spices or mirchi masala in Urdu. Anyhow, we come to this book, which is As-Sahih min Maqtal. First of all, our scholars, they criticize that obviously I have to, on the point of on a positive note, it's a very amazing job done by Allama Muhammad Ray Shahri. May Allah reward him for this great effort he has done to put this kind of amazing 1,000 pages. This is called professional. Not any Tom, Dick, and Harry brings 1 or 2 historical points and clips and then claims that I'm a historian. No, Baba, you are not a historian. Show us your work in history, how much hard work you have done. Writing 1,000 page, bringing all the references, old and contemporary, studying them, putting them in 1,000 pages. Okay, that's a remarkable or phenomenal work which has been done by Allama Muhammad Ray Shahri. May Allah reward him for this great work. So the critics, or the first critic on this book, is that he wrote Sahih. And I mentioned this, I'm not going to repeat this point. In school of Ahlul Bayt, alayhi salatu wasalam, every scholar has the right to make Sahih, okay, based on his investigation. So though to him, there might be some narrations which are sahih to him, but some to other scholars, they might not be sahih, and to them some other narrations might be sahih, which he might not have presented here. So that's point number one. It would have nights. That's why in English the book is available. They call it Chronicle. I forgot the exact name, but inshallah, if tomorrow I am going to, if you know, then you can put on the footnote of the Facebook or YouTube the name of the English book of Ray Shahri, the Chronicles. Like he has kept chronological order for everything mentioned. He has kept chronological order. Like for example, Maqtal of Ali Akbar alayhi salam. In the first the 5 centuries, how was it? Then after that, how additions started to come up. So to him, though he mentioned Sahih, but he has mentioned some non-Sahih. So his opinions are only in the introduction. After that, what he has done is he barely has given his personal opinion. He has kept everything for the researcher in a chronological order. So, for example, Ali Akbar's tragedy in the first 300 years, how did it look like? Then after that, in the 400 year, for example, how did it look like? In the 5th year, the 500 for him, 5th century for him is the first foundation of Maqatil. The original Maqatil were in first 5 centuries. Then he goes to the addition era. And then he go from 600, 6th century to the 8th and 9th century. And after that, after 1,000 years from Maqtal of Abi Abdullah al-Hussein salamullah alayh, he says a lot of additions started to happen, especially in the Safavid dynasty, in the time of Majlisi and post-Majlisi era. So this is his chronological order. So he says on page 29, or in the introduction, he says in page 7, out of, I said about 1,000. The book is 1,444 pages. Okay, like 1,000, about 1,500. So he says that he has kept original references of Imam Hussein alayhi salatu wasalam's tragedy. So it is available for those who are reciting the poetries, making the poetries, reciting the majalis, reciting the marathi, reciting all those things. This will help them to authenticate or to filter out whatever is there in the historical text. And he said, I have relied on authentic texts, النصوص الموثقة إلى المصادر التاريخية والحديثية المعتبرة. Reliable sources of the history, reliable sources of hadith. So that means the book is focusing, he says, on first 5 centuries. Though that is his primary goal. In that, he supports everything which was said in first 500 years. He supports it. Okay? And after that, from 6th to 7th Hijri, 6th to 7th century. And then after that, he discusses, so he has kept first 5 centuries, and then same, Ali al-Akbar, for example, Ali al-Asghar alayhi salam, Imam Hussein's tragedy, Abu al-Fadl Abbas tragedy. What was there in first 5 centuries? What was added after? And it kept adding and adding. Okay? So this is how his book will appear in every single page, in every single event, every single tragedy. He will go in this kind of chronological order, 3 to 4 stages. First stage, first 5 centuries, what was there? Second stage, what was there between 6th and 7th century. Then 8th and 9th century. And what came after that, he may skip a lot of what came after that. And whatever he says, what was after the 10th century, to him, غير صالح للاعتماد. It is not suitable to be relied upon. We cannot rely on. It's not reliable. That means, you see, because all the maqatil, they were there. And so why Imam Hussein alayhi salam was martyred in 1st century? Why until 5th century? He says because the development and our Aimmas alayhi salatu salam supervision was there until 2 centuries. And then after that, the first found, it was the era of collection of the hadith, where the scholars were looking and hunting for the texts, historical texts, hadith. So it was the era of collection. And then after that, the era of collection stopped. So rarely there might be some manuscript produced. Maybe somebody inherited from his great, great, great grandfather. He had a hidden manuscript. So it is, he said, we cannot say it's totally not reliable, whatever came after 5 centuries. No, there might be things. And taqiyya. Taqiyya is our school of Ahlul Bayt alayhi salatu wasalam. Because of the severe danger, they lived a difficult, seriously difficult time of taqiyya. Now, those people who accuse of taqiyya being lie and this and that, Ammar ibn Yasir used taqiyya, and an ayat was descended about taqiyya, and وَقَالَ رَجُلٌ مِّنْ آلِ فِرْعَوْنَ يَكْتُمُ إِيمَانَهُ. Our topic is not taqiyya. And for your information, our Sunni fellows, many scholars, they had used taqiyya as well. And many Sunni fellows, they use taqiyya when they come to United States and they were asked about certain question, do you belong to this group or that group? They deny. They say, no, 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 no. I'm not belonging to this political group of Lebanon, that political group of Palestine, that political group of Afghanistan. They deny it. So isn't this taqiyya? Because you're afraid that if you tell them that you are from certain group from Afghanistan, you will be in trouble. So they use taqiyya. So now taqiyya is halal for them, but for Shia taqiyya is haram. So therefore, the Shias, because they were surrounded by severe danger of prosecution, murder, beheading, all those kind of things, they used taqiyya, which was permissible and legislated in the Quran in the time of the Prophet sallallahu alaihi wasallam. So what does that mean? That means that people would, if I have a script which has the tragedy of Imam Hussein or a hadith of Ahlul Bayt, I will not, guys, I have a hadith, I have a script, manuscript, and whoops, they will arrest me and I'll be disappearing from the world. So there was the danger. This is one of the example, one of the things which we mentioned in Mursal of Ibn Abi Umair. He was in the time of prosecution. He had written a lot of hadith. He kept it somewhere, and the rain fell. He hid it, so that if he's captured, there's no evidence that he belongs to the school of Ahlul Bayt alayhi salam. And all that the rainwater washed all the hadith, because the ink of the ink pen, the water fountain kind of ink. So it washed away all the ink. And then he had to write all the hadith he had memorized it, Ibn Abi Umair. So those who have done ilm al-hadith, they know when many ulamas, they rely on mursal of Ibn Abi Umair, because he did not keep the sanad fulan, 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 because he said either I put sanad and mix up with the sanad, and then text I mix up. Let me just focus on the matan, the text of the hadith, and just write them down all together. So that's why he did not write sanad, but he was trustworthy. So that's why majority of the fuqahas, they either consider him trustworthy, or they use contextual clues to consider his narrations to be authentic. Anyhow, so and the one of the things he says that people need to consider, when I wrote this book, regardless of sahih narrator, unauthentic narrator, I did not look at that, because he says, obviously, historical method, you don't put that kind of scrutiny similar to the fiqh. So what he did was, he had made a chronological thing in his book. And he says, I have focused on the contextual clues, the timeline. This happened, but this narrator was not in that time. This happened, but the daughter of Imam Hussein alayhi salatu wasalam, she was here and she was there, and it was so he has used a lot of interrelating the historical events to make a proper chronology. And he has said, I did not look, because many of the narrators were not from the school of Ahlul Bayt. Forget, he was not Imami. Like some of them were Hamid ibn Muslim. At that time, he was in the camp of Yazid, which we are going to discuss Hamid ibn Muslim when we discuss Abi Mikhnaf, because discussing Abi Mikhnaf's maqtal is very important for us. And Sheikh Ahmed Salman, may Allah reward him and bless him, is did a phenomenal job in discussing it. But the lecture is in Arabic. So inshallah, we are going to take the summarize and take the points of Sheikh Ahmed Salman to see the pros and cons of Maqtal Abi Mikhnaf, and how did we know that there was even Maqtal Abi Mikhnaf if it is not there. So therefore, this is something which is about, this was until page 17 in his book. He mentions about this chronological thing, and the after 10th century, the books are not reliable. So he says, in conclusion of his introduction, he says there are masadir salihah lil i'timad. Some sources are reliable, some sources are not reliable, some sources are modern, contemporary, and some sources are lost, like Maqtal of Abi Mikhnaf. Okay, so then what is the criteria? Sheikhna, it's page 24, he mentions the criteria. So he says that the reliable ones are, it has the historical identity. Okay, this language is academic language. Okay, those people, they think Hausa is just like a market. This is academia in our Hausa. May Allah strengthen our Hausa and the guardians of our Hausa. So number one, why Sheikhna, you considered this book to be reliable? Number one, it holds historical identity. That means it has been it has been mentioned in the history throughout the centuries. So it has historical identity. And the authors of these scriptures or scripts, manuscripts, okay, or the books of history or the sources, they are limited and very well known. Okay, it's not like unknown, come and bring and start putting jigsaw puzzle and make a history book or something like that. No, these people are known to be professional in history. And then the third point he adds, that some of them, they have methodology, historical methodology. That's what I mentioned, professionalism. So 3 points to consider a historical text reliable. He says they have identity. Number one, historical identity. Number two, known as, scholars as historians, and they're limited. So they're all known historians. Number three, they have the methodology of a historian. That means collecting the data. So a historian's job is, he should not be biased. His job is to collect the data. He, like Hamid ibn Muslim, he collects the data from Yazid's camp. He collects the data from Imam Hussein alayhi salatu wasalam's camp. Both camps. He's like a photographer. Take picture here, take picture there. So his job is a reporter, news reporter. And the same thing, Abi Mikhnaf. When we are going to discuss about him, what was his role? Was he Shia? Was he Sunni? Was it? It's a debate. We are going to clarify that. But his father, without any doubt, or Mikhnaf, he was one of the loyal supporters of Imam Ali ibn Abi Talib salamullah alayhi. But the identity of the Lut, his name is Lut, that is what we're going to discuss. So this is one thing. And he says, when we say that these first 5 century first 5 centuries resources are reliable, we are we are not taking that every single thing is correct in it. No, that is point number one. Are they reliable or not? Point number two, every single text must go through certain analysis, certain scrutiny to check whether there is conflict and contradiction in the text itself. So it's checking the source and then checking the content. Okay, so that is number. Now, Sheikhna, can you tell us why did you consider not reliable, okay, those historical sources, and you reject them and you don't take from them? He says a big fi nadarina, in our view. That means it's knowledge. Some other marja or other scholar of history might differ with him. Okay, and there are several scholars of history, not Maulanas and Mullahs. They didn't, some of the Maulanas, they did not like what Quraysh Shahri, and they just attacked him. Baba, he has kept all the historical references with text, chronological order. He has kept it there. If he said after 1000, after 1000 year, that means after 10th century, not reliable, and you are bringing the stuff from after. So you don't have, you find another historical professional, okay, not those who wrote the books of majalis, no, without any references, no, professional historian, take from him whatever that scholar considered reliable. Okay, we're not, he's not imposing on people. He said, I've kept an intellectual academical material in front so that our scholars and our dhakirin and our dhakirat and our noha reciter, they can know the content, what content to take and what content to avoid. So he said some of them, they are stories, dreams, stories without any reliable source. It's just Fulan saw dream, Allam al-Hilli saw dream, for example. Okay, who said that Allam al-Hilli saw dream? Who heard from Allam al-Hilli that dream? Who? All these questions you cannot get answers from most of these books according to him. He says they don't have that sanad. Okay. The first ones we know, Fulan historian, Abi Mikhlaf, and the Hamid ibn Muslim, and Fulan and Tabari and this and that. But these they don't have any kind of. It's just dream and injected in the book of Masa'ib, and that. And then there is no historical background for these stories, or for the qisas, they call it stories. So there is no source, there is no historical background, there is no professionalism in it. So it's just some Maulana, like some Masa'ib, he recorded and he made a book of Masa'ib of Imam Hussein alayhi salam, or the history of Imam Hussein, without referencing it. From where did he get the information? This is very important. In Western Academy, when you write a paper, they want to know, is it yours or is it someone else's? If it is someone else's, whose? That puts value to an intellectual work. And we Muslims, we should be on the top of Western academia. It is Islam. It is amana. Okay, Allah subhanahu wa ta'ala emphasizes about the amanat several times in the Quran. So we should uphold. It is not when Western academia says put the references. If it's not yours, put the references. Do not steal someone else's work. Islam prohibits that before Western academia started doing this. So it is Islamic method, not Western academia's method. Islam does not like you to steal somebody's material, somebody's knowledge, and just pretend that it is yours. That is stealing. That is theft. Okay, usurp. Take others' material. Okay, nobody is like knowledgeable totally except for infallibles with the knowledge which Allah has taught them. But we are all ignorant relatively and learned ones for whatever Allah has given us tawfiq to learn. So he said that is the reason. Reliable sources, non-reliable sources. So he says, وسنعمد في البدء إلى التعريف ب33 مصدرا. 33 sources. Those people, they say Karbala event just like that. No, Baba. There are 33 sources for Karbala event. Many of them, they have some details as well. So details are not just like a modern century mirchi masala. No. So the whole idea is we have to check those sources which has some details. So he says, and then the weak masadir, there are so many non-reliable after 1,000 years they have been published. So I'm just going to just focus on 10 weird ones and strange ones. Now, by the way, these whatever have been made after 1,000, it doesn't mean that everything in is wrong. No, they will use the foundation of the original history in it, but then they will go against some of the original text. Remember, the problem is not making in artistic form. The problem is going against the original text, okay, contradicting the information. So that's what happened. So you will find a lot of good stuff in the modern written books of the Majalis and history of Imam Hussein, but you will find those additions of the, as we say, spices or mirchi masala kind of things, or baharat. So he said that I'm going to present 33 reliable sources and 10 from those plenty which are non-reliable. And we are going to mention why non-reliable. I may not have enough time to go through all the details of these things, but Maqtal Abi Mikhnaf is one of the top reliable for him. However, he says we don't have it. So he doesn't put it in number one. So number one, he mentions تسمية من قتل مع الحسين عليه السلام من ولده وإخوته وأهل بيته وشيعته. This book number one. So this was written that he took from Abi Mikhnaf. Okay. So basically, this was written in 157 Hijri, when in the time of Imam, between the time of, he died 157. That means he lived in the time of Imam al-Baqir alayhi salam and some time of Imam Sadiq alayhi salam. So this is why a Maqtal of Abi Mikhnaf is important. Okay. But then, so on the top he gives Maqtal Abi Mikhnaf, but the name of Maqtal is Tasmiyatu man qutila ma'al Imam Hussein, naming those who were martyred with Imam Hussein alayhi salam, from his children, his brethren, and his family household, Ahlul Bayt alayhi salam, and from his Shia. And then we have Kitab al-Tabaqat al-Kabir. This was made in 230 Hijrah. Then we have some books are from the Sunni school of thought. They have mentioned the Karbala. So Karbala is not only in Shia books. Tabari mentions 80 or 90% of Abi Mikhnaf. So that's why we're going to mention that we know that there was Abi Mikhnaf from Tabari. Okay, Tabari is a Sunni historian. So Karbala is not only the people, they accuse us, oh, this was Masa'ib and this and that and Majalis. From where did you bring it? Baba, there are not only Shia historians who recorded it. There are Sunni historians, they recorded it. And they made Al-Imama was Siyasa. This is Ibn Qutayba ad-Daynuri, Sunni scholar, historian. Okay. Ansab al-Ashraf, Baladhiri, Sunni scholar. Al-Akhbar al-Tawal, and so on. You see, most of these are from the Sunni scholar. Maqatil al-Talibin, the Shia scholar. So I'm not going to mention 33 because it's no use unless if you are a historian, then you buy this book or it's available in PDF and examine all these references, take the references until he goes to the Fadl Ziyarat al-Imam al-Hussein, Irshad was of Sheikh al-Mufid, and it was in he died in 400 Hijrah. So it's in the 400 years, in the range of 400 years. Fadl Ziyarat al-Imam al-Hussein alayhi salatu wasalam, one of the scholars of the merits of Ziyarat of Imam Hussein alayhi salam, died 445. So we are talking about Kamil al-Ziyarat. Kamil al-Ziyarat has lots of Masa'ib of Imam Hussein alayhi salam. Okay, so these are Shia books, and there are Sunni books. Misbah al-Mutahajjid, Sheikh al-Tusi, he has also Masa'ib mentioned. And then we go to the Rawdatul Wa'idhin, Naysapuri, he was in 500. And then we have Muthir al-Ahzan for Ibn Nama, Shia, Tadhkiratul Khawas, and Al-Malhuf fi Qatl al-Tufuf, 600 Hijrah for Ibn Taus, great famous scholar, Kashf al-Ghumma, Lil-Arbili, and then we have Al-Bidayah wal-Nihaya, so Ibn Kathir, Sunni scholar. So you can see from these 33 reliable sources, there are Sunni sources mentioning the tragedy of Karbala. Shame on those Shias who say, oh, this is all made up by the Shias and from the Shia member and Shia mullahs. They just want to. No, 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 Baba. You're living in a different time. Please do, before you accuse our member of Imam Hussein alayhi salam, try to do some research. You will be held accountable on the day of judgment for bashing our majalis and considering this and that. Okay? Even if you're Maulana, Mullah, out of the school of Ahlul Bayt, 33 reliable sources mentioning the tragedy of Karbala. Among them are several Sunni historians. What else you want? So our tragedy of Karbala is firm, strong. This many scholars, this many books were written, and then people, they want to create doubts. As I mentioned, Inna al-Hussein misbahul hidayah or huda was safinatul najat, lantern of guidance. You want to take away people from Imam Hussein alayhi salatu wasalam? That is shaitan's job. So this is something which he mentions. So he said that, as you can see, that Waqi'at Ashura, it is a very important historical event. He has mentioned in his book the pillars of this event of Karbala and what are the popular. So this event is mashhur, mutawatir, musallamat al-tarikhiyya. No one on the face of earth can deny the event of Karbala. Even though some parts, there are some variances in some details, but in general, this Karbala, this great tragedy happened. And any event, he says, there might be people looking from one angle, people from looking one angle. So this person is looking from this angle, he recorded this side. When you see you have a camera, you record this side, so you get from one angle. There's another camera on that side. He's recording. He will get from that angle. So he said these juz'iyat, these minor details, it's normal to have variances because the historian, and that adds beauty and strength to the Karbala, that it is not copy pasted from here and there. There are different people, they narrate it from different angle. So that means there are various narrators of Karbala, okay, who observe Karbala. I mentioned this in my previous session. So that's why, uh, uh, and he mentioned that after the passing of the time, it is natural also that something might be heard, and then who heard, he passed it over to another. There is always a possibility that some increase might happen, some decrease might happen. And this is like those Chinese whisper games. Have you heard about Chinese whisper games? That somebody tells you in your ear something, you tell that to a second, second tells the whispers to the third whisper to the fourth whisper to the. So when it comes back to me, there are variations. I did not say that. Okay, so something like that. So he says that when an event goes from one narrator to another narrator, and a second to third to, it is normal that variances happen. And you will see in chronological order some small additions were added. Okay, those were intentionally, unintentionally, number one. Number two, this addition happened because somebody wanted to add, or no, they found a manuscript which had this addition. So when you find an addition, it is not necessarily mean that this addition is mirchi masala or spices. No, they might have found a manuscript, because as I said, taqiyya necessities were there. So the manuscripts were, some manuscripts came in the times of the Henleys, okay, in hadith and other some of the other books. So our era was very tough, that our manuscripts were being published or publicized slowly as the circumstances allowed them. In the time of Imam Hassan al-Askari alayhi salam, people would bring letters to Imam Hassan al-Askari from the Shias. They will bring in the pot of oil, in a case which prevents the oil from penetrating the letters. They were bringing them in a stick, a hollow stick. There are all these small papers rolled inside it. So therefore, we have to understand that the taqiyya necessities led that some manuscripts were produced later on. Some documents came out later on. So this addition which has been added to next, Ray Shahri says addition added. But some scholars say that some of the additions were there because some of the texts were found which was there. So anyhow, this requires further investigation. So may Allah reward and with great Sheikh Raishari, that he has at least provided the chronological order to allow more historical researches to happen, to know that these additions were mirchi masala or spices, or no, the scripts were found, and in script of Fulan ibn Fulan, it was recorded this way. Remember, two angles. So that is very important for us to know that there has been some additions in the chronological order. And then we said that when we try to follow, that there are some of the original scripts, he says, it has some kind of some of the scripts, even if it's original, and some of them which are contemporary. Some of the things which does not suit the spiritual and the moral status of Imam Hussein alayhi salatu wasalam and his household alayhi salatu wasalam. And there are many examples you can go through, because I don't have that much time. So to this, we are going to, inshallah, continue. So basically, I have certain topics left. Topic discussing the maqtal of Abi Mikhnaf is very important, very crucial, because it is the foundation maqtal for all the maqatil we have. Okay, it is very important for us to discuss that. That is going to be, inshallah, in upcoming two sessions. There are two sessions. We will discuss the authenticity of Ziyarat Nahiya. There are some segments in Ziyarat Nahiya. To some scholars, they are problematic, like women coming out with their hairs out. We are going to discuss that, and how did the scholar make analysis for that, in order to consider that was something happened, and it was not something against Sayyidah Zainab Salamullahi alayha status, or even the daughters, because some scholars said that there were more than 25 women there, you see. So when then women came and they were grieving and they took, how can we understand that? That is going to be, inshallah, about when we discuss the authenticity of Ziyarat Ashura. Let's come to 12th Imam Ajjalallahu Ta'ala Farajahu Sharif, and see how Imam Sahib al-Zaman Ajjalallahu Ta'ala Farajahu Sharif grieves on his grandfather Imam Hussein in Ziyarat al-Nahiya. So he sent salams to Imam Hussein alayhi salam. He says, Salam I'm sending you salams. I'm offering my salutations. What type of salutations, Ya Sahib al-Zaman? Can you teach us how to say salams to Imam Hussein alayhi salatu wasalam? Because whenever we go to recite to Karbala, we recite ziyarat of Imam Hussein. We just recite like reading a text of ziyarat. Even in our masajid, when we recite the text of ziyarat, can you teach us, Sahib al-Zaman, Ajjalallahu ta'ala, please? How can we recite the ziyarat? How can we say the salam to Imam Hussein alayhi salatu wassalam? He says, salutations I'm offering you the salutations and salams of the one whose heart is bleeding from injuries caused by your suffering. So we have to feel the pain of Imam Hussein alayhi salam. Imam Hussein salam man qalbuhu bimusabika maqruh. You know that qurha, that injury inside, it sometimes bleeds and sometimes has pus inside. And it is very difficult to solve that internal injury. So Imam is using that metaphor to show how much his heart is injured. Remember, my beloved ones, Imam Sahib Zaman is grieving for 1,000 years. We may be grieving for 10 years, 20 years, 30 years, 40 years. Some might be grieving for 80 years, but Imam Sahib Zaman is grieving on his grandfather for 1,000 years. Bless the heart of Imam Sahib Zaman. How is his heart handling that grief? 1,000 years. دمعه عند ذكرك مسفوح. Salams of the one, whenever your mentioning happens, his tears start flowing. سلام من لو كان معك بالطفوف لوقاك بنفسه حد السيوف. Salam of the one, if he was there in Karbala, he would have prevented you from the sharpness of the swords of the enemy with his own life. Ya Sahib al-Zaman, you know that what happened, and nobody was there to take the arrows. Nobody was there to take him. Abu al-Fadl al-Abbas had martyred. The companions had martyred. Imam Hussein alayhi salam was left alone, and arrows were coming from every side. He would defend himself from front. The arrows will come from back. He would defend himself from back. Arrows will come from sides. His body was filled with arrows. Where were you, Sahib al-Zaman? He says, if I was there, I would have defended him. I would have stood in front between me and those swords. And what else you have done? You would have done. وَبَذَلَ حَشَاشَتُهُ دُونَكَ لِلْحُتُوفِ. And he would have exerted every breath, every single breath and every single blood to defend you from the death. Yes, وَجَاهَدَ بَيْنَ يَدَيْكَ. He would have strived in front of you to defend you. He would have supported you from those who were aggressive against you and oppressed you. What else, Ya Sahib al-Zaman? Ya Sahib al-Zaman. There are children of Imam Hussein, they were martyred. Like Ali al-Akbar, Ali al-Asghar, Ya Sahib al-Zaman, Abu al-Fadl al-Abbas. Ya Sahib al-Zaman, would you have defended them? He says, yes. وَفَدَاكَ بِرُوحِهِ وَجَسَدِهِ. I would have given my wealth, myself, my life, my body, my children as a ransom to save your life. Yes, I would have defended him. I would have sacrificed my soul, my body, my wealth, my children. For what? Not just for Imam Hussein, for the soul of Imam Hussein, for his family, for his children. I would have defended him. What else, Ya Sa'ab al-Zaman? I mean, when Harmala was shooting the arrow on Imam Hussein, when it pierced Ali al-Asghar, would you have taken that arrow? Yes, I would have defended the children, the family of Imam Hussein alayhi salam. And then Imam Sahib al-Zaman grieves. He says, the time has distant me from you. فَلَئِنْ أَخَّرَتْنِي الدُّهُورُ وعاقني عن نصرك المقدور. If the centuries have pushed me away from you, and that long lapse of time has prevented from me from being able to support you, if that would have not happened, that since that happened, and I could not fight those who fought you. ولم أكن لمن حاربك محاربا ولمن نصب لك العداوة مناصبا. I was not able to face those enemies who faced you with hatred, that I would have faced them with hatred. I could not be there. The time has distant me from you. I was not able to support you. Since that has happened, then the only thing I can do, Ya Abu Abdullah, فلأندمنك صباحا ومساء. I will lament on you day and night. ولأبكينك ولأبكين عليك بدل الدموع دما. And I will cry on you. عظم الله لك الأجر يا صاحب الزمان. I will cry and I'll continue crying on you until my eye becomes dry and you see blood in my eyes. For what, Ya Sahab al-Zaman? حسرة عليك وتأسفا على ما دهاك. Because it's a sorrow, it's a griefful situation that I was not there to support you, and I am in grief, and in grief I'll be continuously crying on you for whatever had happened to you, and the burning sorrow in my heart, and out of the grief. Until when, Ya Sahab Zaman? He says, Hatta amuta bilaw'atil musab. Until I die, until my death comes, I will continuously grieve on you. The grief of the one who has afflicted with severe tragedies. وَغُصَّةِ الْإِكْتِئَابِ. And from the endless depressing sorrow for your suffering. How can the Imam alayhi salam forget Ali Akbar, forget Qasim, forget Aun and Muhammad, forget all the precious martyrs of Imam Hussein alayhi salam? How can Imam forget the companions, all those who gave their life defending Imam Hussein? There is so much pain. He grieves Habib, he grieves Burair, he grieves Zuhair. He mentions his companions in his ziyarat. And then what the biggest pain is the children of Imam Hussein, that he was not there in time to defend him. Wa imama wa musibata. وسيعلم الذين ظلموا أي منقلب ينقلبون ألا لعنة الله على القوم الظالمين والعاقبة للمتقين. إنا لله وإنا إليه راجعون. عظم الله أجوركم. لعنة الله على القوم الظالمين. We ask Allah subhanahu wa ta'ala to accept our aza on Imam Hussein alayhi salam. We ask Allah subhanahu wa ta'ala to keep us always on the path of Imam Hussein alayhi salatu salam, with Imam Hussein, to bless us the visitation of Imam Hussein in this world, and the intercession of Imam Hussein in the hereafter, and the ma'rifat of Imam Hussein from the religion, on and to keep all the grief of this world and the world hereafter away from us, except for the grieving on Imam Hussein. Ya Allah, let us grieve, make us grieve on Imam Hussein until the day of judgment. Let this grieving be our Imam Zamana Ajjalallah is grieving on Imam Hussein for 1,000 years. What are we? Let our life grieve on Imam Hussein alayhi salam until the end breaths of our life, so that we can be with our beloved Imam and we can be with our Imams alayhi salam. Ya Allah, bless us and all our beloved ones around the world, all the goods of this world and all the goods of hereafter, and protect us from all the evil of this world and evil of hereafter. We ask Allah subhanahu wa ta'ala to make the appearance of our Imam soon and keep us among his loyal and sincere supporters in his occultation and after his occultation. We ask Allah subhanahu wa ta'ala to relieve us from all the distress and problems and difficulties and calamities and our beloved ones around the world, be it they are in Iran, Iraq, Syria, Palestine, Yemen, wherever, Pakistan, wherever our mu'mineen are in difficulty and hardship, Afghanistan, wherever, may Allah subhanahu wa ta'ala ease up on our difficulties and the difficulties of our beloved ones around the world. And may Allah subhanahu wa ta'ala bring peace in Palestine soon. These innocent children, they don't have any sin. May Allah subhanahu wa ta'ala May Allah subhanahu wa ta'ala curse and condemn all the extremes and terrorists and terrorism who are killing innocent children who don't have anything to do with their crisis. May Allah subhanahu wa ta'ala forgive all our sins and shortcoming and other sins and shortcoming of our beloved marhumin. Ameen Rabbil Alameen. We recite Surah Al-Fatiha for all our beloved marhumin. Bismillahir Rahmanir Rahim. Alhamdulillahi Rabbil Alameen. Ar-Rahman Ar-Rahim. مالك يوم الدين إياك نعبد وإياك نستعين اهدنا الصراط المستقيم صراط الذين أنعمت عليهم غير المغضوب عليهم ولا الضالين بسم الله الرحمن الرحيم قل هو الله أحد الله الصمد لم يلد ولم يولد ولم يكن له كفوا أحد إن الله وملائكته يصلون على النبي يا أيها الذين آمنوا صلوا عليه وسلموا تسليما